Mapping SOC2 evidence to questionnaire frameworks creates a single source of truth for customer assurance. Start by correlating SOC2 criteria to SIG or CAIQ question sets. For example, map CC6, logical and physical access controls, to SIG's access management questions and CAIQ's IAM categories. Populate your answer library with excerpts from SO2-tested narratives and attach corresponding evidence artifacts. Maintain a master mapping table that lists each question, the linked SOC control, and the location of supporting proof. By using this reference to pre-fill question answers, you ensure accuracy and alignment across all submissions, whether responding to a 400-question SIG Lite or a cloud provider's custom spreadsheet. Control alignment examples bring this concept to life. Questions about access control or encryption link directly to SOC 2, CC6, and CC7, as both require least privilege enforcement, secure authentication, and data protection in transit and at rest. Privacy and data subject rights inquiries tie to the SOC 2 privacy category, while incident response and logging map to CC9 and CC7. For availability and disaster recovery, you can reference the availability categories RTO/RPO objectives, DR tests, and failover metrics. These one-to-one mappings allow you to reuse SOC 2 artifacts, access review logs, incident tickets, or DR test results across multiple frameworks, saving both time and effort while ensuring answers remain audit-backed and verifiable. Your SOC2 system description is also a goldmine for questionnaire content. It already explains system boundaries, subservice relationships, and customer commitments, all essential elements in SIG and CAIQ contexts. Extract relevant portions that describe infrastructure, hosting regions, encryption practices, and third-party dependencies. Highlight the trust services categories covered in your report to give customers precise context for assurance. Redact or omit proprietary configuration details that exceed the disclosure scope allowed under your NDA. By drawing from the approved narrative, you maintain consistency between what auditors validated and what customers read, closing the gap between compliance documentation and customer communication. Auditor test results from your SOC 2 Type 2 report provide powerful, independent validation of control effectiveness. Reference them where appropriate to demonstrate operating performance during the period. For example, if a SIG question asks about quarterly access reviews, you can cite SOC 2 test results confirming that such reviews were executed consistently, supported by auditor sampling. Always specify the SOC 2 report date and coverage period so customers understand the time frame of validation. Provide excerpts or summaries rather than the full report unless under NDA protection. Independent verification carries more weight than self-attested claims. Using your SOC 2 report in this way turns a defensive Q&A into a positive demonstration of trust. Centralizing responses in a master repository is essential for scalability. Create a pre-approved answer bank where each question is mapped to a control area and paired with relevant SOC 2 excerpts and artifacts. Tag responses by framework SIG, CAIQ, or custom questionnaire, and by trust services category. When your SOC 2 report is refreshed annually, update linked answers automatically to maintain currency. Include associated evidence, sanitized screenshots, policy documents, and control narratives so each answer can be validated instantly. This single repository ensures that no matter who completes a questionnaire, compliance, sales, or security, the language, tone, and factual basis remain consistent and approved. Automation and tooling take this repository from static library to living workflow. Many GRC or vendor management platforms now integrate directly with SIG or CAIQ templates, allowing you to map SOC 2 criteria once and auto-complete standardized question sets. AI-assisted tools can scan new questionnaires and suggest pre-approved responses based on text similarity, accelerating turnaround. Configure review and approval workflows so legal and compliance can vet responses before submission. Dashboards tracking metrics like reuse rate, turnaround time, and customer satisfaction provide visibility into program efficiency. The result is a repeatable, governed process for assurance, fast, accurate, and scalable. Customer trust portals extend the automation advantage to self-service. By hosting your latest SOC2 report, SIG responses, and CAIQ templates in a controlled environment, you give customers immediate access to verified assurance materials. Require NDA acceptance before download, use MFA for authentication, and track retrieval events for audit purposes. Allow users to filter by framework or control category and provide FAQs explaining coverage. This self-service model reduces repetitive manual questionnaires, freeing your compliance team to focus on strategic initiatives while customers get the transparency they expect. Reducing duplication across assurance requests is both a tactical and strategic win. Align your SIG and CAIQ repositories with your SOC 2 evidence management system so artifacts like access reviews, DR results, or DLP reports are linked to multiple question categories. Automate generation of evidence from continuous monitoring or CCM pipelines, so the same logs or dashboards feed both SOC 2 and questionnaire responses. Refresh answers annually or after significant environmental changes. A unified repository ensures that every customer, auditor, and stakeholder sees the same data story, eliminating conflicting versions of the truth. Finally, before any questionnaire response leaves your organization, apply legal and confidentiality checks. Ensure that disclosures align with public commitments and do not expose proprietary information or customer-specific data. Redact configuration details, IP ranges, or tool versions that could create security risks. Confirm that only information already covered by NDAs or permitted disclosures is shared externally. Keep a log of every response package sent, including approvers, recipients, and timestamps. This traceability protects both the company and the customer while reinforcing a disciplined approach to data handling and transparency. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Coordinating among teams is where questionnaire efficiency lives or dies. Security, compliance, and sales must operate as a unified front rather than separate silos. Compliance provides the approved SOC2 evidence and master responses. Security validates technical accuracy, and sales or customer success manages delivery and relationship context. Define ownership clearly: who fields incoming requests, who reviews for content accuracy, and who signs off for final submission. Train non-technical staff on how to navigate the repository and reference SOC2 excerpts correctly, ensuring they never overstate or misinterpret control coverage. Use a shared tracking platform to log progress, approvals, and due dates. This structure transforms chaotic last-minute responses into a repeatable workflow that protects both speed and integrity. When customers ask for evidence sufficiency, lead with clarity and restraint. Provide relevant SOC2 report excerpts or direct references rather than entire documents. Attaching a redacted version of the auditor's opinion and management assertion gives third parties formal validation without oversharing sensitive details. If additional proof is permissible under NDA, link to supporting artifacts such as sanitized tickets, policy samples, or anonymized metrics. Always summarize the evidence in plain language without altering the auditor's original wording. The goal is transparency backed by verified data, not volume or persuasion. Every excerpt you share should trace directly to a SOC 2 criterion and operating period, leaving no ambiguity about authenticity. Handling exceptions in customer questionnaires requires the same balance of transparency and context practiced during the audit itself. If your SOC 2 report lists minor exceptions, explain them candidly. Describe what occurred, why it was limited in scope, and how remediation has since strengthened the control. Emphasize maturity progression. Auditors identified the issue, management fixed it, and the process is now validated. Never attempt to soften or reword the auditor's opinion. Misrepresentation risks both credibility and contractual consequences. Instead, align messaging with the auditor-approved narrative and use the finding to showcase your commitment to continuous improvement. Customers value honesty and responsiveness far more than claims of perfection. Metrics and key risk indicators quantify the efficiency of your assurance process. Track questionnaire turnaround time from receipt to submission to highlight agility. Measure the reuse rate of SOC 2 evidence to assess return on investment in your centralized repository. Record customer acceptance percentages showing how often initial submissions are deemed sufficient without further clarification. Monitor and audit alignment accuracy score, how often questionnaire content precisely reflects SOC 2 report facts. These indicators give leadership a clear view of process health, helping allocate resources and validate that compliance investments translate into tangible business value. Continuous improvement keeps the questionnaire program current and credible. Collect feedback from customers and sales teams about clarity, completeness, and usefulness of responses. Use this feedback to refine explanations, add technical depth where necessary, and simplify language for non-expert audiences. Update mappings when new frameworks, laws, or customer requirements emerge, especially as SIG and CAIQ versions evolve. Refresh associated SOC 2 evidence quarterly to ensure artifacts remain within the audit period. By treating customer assurance as an iterative process rather than a static repository, your organization remains responsive, relevant, and trusted. Cross-framework consistency ensures that every answer you provide aligns with other certifications and commitments. Maintain harmony with ISO 27001, NIST CSF, and CIS 18 crosswalks so that shared controls, such as encryption, vulnerability management, or incident response, reflect the same facts in every context. Synchronize privacy responses with GDPR and CCPA obligations. Verify that identical data points, like encryption algorithms, data center regions, or access review cadences, are consistent across all assurance documents. A single-source repository eliminates contradictory messaging that can undermine confidence with customers or auditors alike. Governance and ownership underpin everything. The compliance team should curate and maintain the master questionnaire repository, overseeing updates whenever the SOC2 report is refreshed. Assign legal reviewers to validate every new or modified disclosure before release. Implement version control for each publication cycle so past responses can be traced and compared. Track reuse metrics and quality scores to show continuous improvement and justify automation investments. Governance turns questionnaire management from a clerical exercise into a formal assurance process aligned with enterprise policy. Customer communication best practices build relationships rather than merely closing tickets. Respond transparently and factually, anchoring every answer in SOC 2 verified evidence. Clarify the scope of assurance, state which trust services categories and reporting periods are covered, and highlight any limitations. Position your SOC 2 report as independent validation, not marketing collateral. Provide controlled channels for follow-up Q&A, such as secure portals or dedicated email aliases monitored by compliance professionals. The tone should always be cooperative, demonstrating confidence in your controls while respecting the customer's due diligence obligations. Be vigilant against common pitfalls that compromise both speed and trust. Avoid copying outdated answers from prior audits without checking current accuracy. Never distribute SOC 2 reports or excerpts outside NDA or tracking controls. Misaligned terminology, such as interchanging certified with attested, can confuse customers and diminish professionalism. Remedy these issues through rigorous QA workflows, defined approval checkpoints, and strict distribution governance. Each submission represents your organization's integrity. Accuracy is non-negotiable. Training and awareness keep this discipline sustainable. Host annual workshops on interpreting SOC 2 reports and understanding their relationship to customer frameworks. Train sales and customer success teams to handle assurance inquiries confidently, but defer technical details to compliance experts. Conduct scenario-based drills where staff practice completing portions of SIG or CAIQ questionnaires under supervision. Refresh training before each audit renewal so everyone understands new findings, updated mappings, and report changes. Consistent education transforms compliance knowledge into organizational competence. Evidence expectations close the loop of traceability. Maintain approved SOC2 excerpts, crosswalk tables, and standardized response templates linked to specific control IDs. Keep disclosure approval logs, NDA archives, and distribution records to show controlled release. Monitor a metrics dashboard that tracks evidence reuse, submission volume, and customer acceptance trends. These artifacts prove not only that you answer thoroughly, but that you do so responsibly, governed by verifiable processes. Maturity in this domain evolves through 4 stages. Organizations start with manual questionnaire completion, drafting unique answers for each customer. They progressed to centralized SOC2-based libraries where pre-approved responses reduce duplication. Next comes automation, integrating evidence pipelines and AI mapping to fill questionnaires rapidly and accurately. The most advanced reach predictive assurance, where real-time monitoring feeds live data into response systems, showing current compliance status rather than historical claims. Each step reduces effort and increases trust. In conclusion, SOC2 is more than an audit artifact. It's a reusable foundation for customer assurance. When mapped intelligently to frameworks like SIG and CAIQ, it becomes a universal translator of trust, converting technical control evidence into clear, validated answers. Accuracy, consistency, and automation ensure every response reflects the same rigor as your audit. By integrating portals, crosswalks, and disciplined governance, your organization transforms vendor questionnaires from an operational burden into a strategic differentiator. The next episode continues this theme of integration, exploring how penetration testing and secure development frameworks can reinforce SOC 2 assurance in modern cloud environments.